Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. For today we have another smartphone to review, unbox, look at what's inside the package, see how it performs, go through the initial setup, go over some of the features. This is the new Motorola G6, the 6th generation from the popular entry-level smartphone from Motorola. I was a huge fan of the Motorola G series from the very first one, which I bought, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago now. Used it for such a long time, and I'm really excited to look at this one. Two major reasons. Finally, we have a USB Type-C port on this. Most of the people complained in the past that the last couple of generations have been releasing with USB, micro USB instead of the USB Type-C because this standard is more cheaper, and obviously Motorola wanted to, or Lenovo that owns Motorola, wanted to keep the prices low. Finally, we have some good, decent specs that are seen in some more expensive phones. We have 3 noise cancellation microphones on the Motorola, 18:9 aspect ratio screen, 5.7 inch. The processor is a little bit slower. Obviously they had to fit into the budget. So Snapdragon 450, we'll see how that performs. Luckily, we have stock Android 8 with this one. And one of the best things is this phone has all the bands for the US. It doesn't matter which provider you have, Verizon, Sprint, T-Mobile, AT&T, any of the little ones, you're good to go with this phone because all the LTE bands are available here. I think all the companies should be doing this. Every manufacturer, if you release a phone with all the bands, no matter where in the world, people will be able to buy it, export it, and use it anywhere. So I'm very excited about this. This one came from Google Fi, by the way, their own network, as a replacement for one of my old and non-functional anymore, unfortunately, a Nexus 5X. So I paid around $100 for this one. So I think it's a great deal. But without me rambling anymore, let's go right into it, unbox it, and go over the OS, the setup, and everything else so you can guys have the first-hand experience with the new Motorola G6. All right, now we can move to the actual unboxing of the Motorola G6. And as mentioned before, this one came as a replacement from Google Fi. I had to send my failed and old Nexus 5X. And the replacement is the Motorola G6, which the offer is actually pretty good. You're getting it for about $100. So before we move to the actual unboxing, let's look at the box real quick. Outside, kind of a greenish, lime green with a Motorola Moto G6 logo right here. Moto G6 on the side as well. And obviously being an entry-level phone, there's not going to be a lot of bells and whistles, some Qualcomm, Snapdragon logos and Motorola logos. But nothing really crazy to be shown. And obviously we have the 32GB internal storage and 3GB of memory of RAM version. The color is black. So let's go ahead and open it and see what's inside the box. Getting my scissors here, we'll pop that seal that is on the side of the box and open it. Okay, so right on the top, we have the phone sitting. Let me pull that off and put it to the side real quick. Wow, actually, that feels really good. Surprisingly solid. I think last time I had a Motorola G was the very first generation, and I was equally surprised how well built that phone was. But this one is really good as well. Some literature from Motorola here, README. Let's get started. Quick start guides. Feel free to go through these if you want to, but it's pretty self-explanatory for anybody that has used any phones before. Interesting here, you will have a nano SIM tray with a SD card slot. Always great to see an expansion. One of the best things about these phones coming from Google Fi and Motorola in general is that despite the fact that it's an entry-level phone, they still include all the bands for all networks in the US. That includes Verizon and Sprint as well. So if you get this phone, you can use it at any, absolutely any provider that you have in the States, which is great. SIM ejector 2 in this little piece of paper right here. We have a charger. Let's see if we can read. So this one is going to be 5 volts, 3 amps. So okay, it's feels like it's going to be fast charger. If it's 5 volts, 3 amps, that's more than a standard, 5 volts, 2 amps or less. I'm guessing turbo power is something that is going to be fast charging. And what else is inside? Obviously, we have a cable. Now, the best thing is about this new generation is finally we have a USB Type-C charging for this latest edition of Motorola G series. All the previous versions of the Motorola G, unfortunately, were and are with micro USB charger. Finally, USB-C, and that's about it. Nothing else inside the box. Pretty plain, but considering that, like I said, my first generation Motorola G didn't even have a charger. It was just a cable inside. That's how they were trying to save some money. Now at least they give you a charger. And let's put this box to the side and we can look at the phone now. In the first look, I gotta say, I really like that phone. I really like the way it feels. Glass back. Looks really feels premium. With chamfered edges, dual camera on the back, smiley face or frowny face, the way you look at it. But Motorola logo, very subtle, very nice. We have a microphone here in the back, and we have a camera in the front, and then another microphone here. And this is the fingerprint reader right here in the front. Very skinny, very small one. But I kind of appreciate that. I mean, I'm torn between fingerprints in the back or in the front. These are more convenient. This one, if we compare it to some other phones that I have in my possession, let's compare it to the biggest one, the Mi Mix, the original Mi Mix. You can see how much smaller the Motorola G6 is. So 18:9 aspect ratio on the Motorola G6. Let's turn it on and see what's up. Buttons on the side feel like they're made out of metal. Yes, absolutely, they're made out of metal, and the power button actually has a texture, so you won't confuse it. It's really nice to have a texture right there. All right, let's power it on and go through the setup. And there it is. Motorola, powered by Android. Like I said, Snapdragon 450 octa-core. We have 3 GB of RAM, 32 GB of internal storage, SD card slot expansion up to 128 GB. 2 cameras on the back, 12 megapixel. Oh, okay, hello Moto. And you can see the logo of Lenovo. 12 megapixel and 5 megapixel in the back, and we have 8 megapixel front facing plus flash. And down below is our fingerprint sensor, where you can have actually gestures. That's kind of a thing that Motorola and Lenovo are doing. Let's go to the setup, English, United States. But before, let's see what kind of language is there. So being a stock Android, you have huge amount of languages, pretty much everything that is supported by the OS. So just FYI, if you're planning to buy it, welcome to 6. Let's set up as new. It sees my 5 gigahertz network, which is great. Let me put the password real quick and we'll be right back. All right, once we plug in the password, we'll check for an update, check in the info. We'll put our account in real quick. All right, once we plug in our information for the account, ask us to add a fingerprint. Let's see, fingerprint, and okay, we're gonna do our secure code real quick and then add a fingerprint. Let's see how fast that's gonna be. You found the sensor? Yeah, I have found it. Get ready. Okay, I'm ready. Let's do it. Okay, rotating my finger, the multiple angles so we can, okay, there we go. Fingerprint added. We're gonna add another one later. Google Assistant, we're gonna activate that as well. Google Assistant, okay, let's say, okay, Google. All right, adding some additional touches. Give Moto permission to help. Okay, great, I agree. Yes, I'm in. All right, and we are in. Literally less than 2 minutes to set up everything. And this is the interface right away. Android 8. Let's quickly check the system. Okay, and system updates. Do we have system update? Your device is up to date. Okay, I guess there isn't. There is no Android 8.1, but rather Android 8. Let's quickly go through the OS real quick and the options in the settings, network and internet, obviously. What do we have here? Mobile internet, wireless, data usage, hotspot and tethering, VPN and airplane mode. Connecting devices, we have Bluetooth, casting, printing services, apps and notifications. 51 apps are installed. Notifications, app permissions, advanced, app info. Okay, that's fine. Battery, the battery is 3000 milliamp hours. Hopefully it's going to be enough. I mean, with the Snapdragon 450, I'm not expecting it to be consuming too much power. It's fairly good on the power usage processor, so I think that should be good enough for a whole day of use. Battery saver, battery percentage, let's add that. Adaptive brightness, okay, we'll turn that on. Going back here, the display, we have brightness levels. Okay, adaptive brightness is on. Color mode, natural, standard, vibrant. They have it vibrant at the moment. We'll keep it at that. We have wallpapers, and let's see if they have any of the live wallpapers. Unfortunately not. Advanced, what's an advanced? Sleep. Okay, we'll do it in 1 minute. Font is default, display size is default, screen saver. So the display resolution is 1080p, 5.7 inch, and you can see the edge is a little bit rounded. They're not completely square, which is an interesting touch by Motorola. Let's go back here, and then we have sound. Dolby Music is Auto 3, noise cancelling microphones, one on the top, one on the bottom, and one on the back. So I'm expecting to have some very good quality on your conversations. Touchpad tones, okay, touch sounds, all these things are good. So let's see the storage. What do we have in storage? So currently 7.22 gigabytes are taken from the 32 gigabytes. And let's go back to our security and location. Pretty standard. I mean, it's a stock Android, which is absolutely a breeze. To be honest, I haven't had a stock Android phone for a long time. In fact, the last one I had was the Nexus 5X. So it's kind of a refreshing to see a stock Android, since all of the other phones I'm using lately have their own skins and their own launchers and everything else. Users right here. Accessibility, okay, that's the mode of voice. That's some of the other options from Motorola. There we go. And then the system, let's see what do we have about the phone. Moto G, baseband version, kernel version. Android security patch is March 1st. I would have liked to see it newer. I mean, the phone was released in April, so it's been 2 months since it was released. So I hope there will be a new update coming very soon. Build number, okay. Now we're developer, we enable the development mode so I can do some changes there as well. System updates, okay. Reset development options. So one of the first here is the hidden menu where you can see the memory. So you can see out of the box, out of 3 gigabytes of memory, we have almost half of it, 1.6 in use. Is 3 gigabytes going to be enough with stock Android? I really hope so, because once you start loading apps and using it over the time, you know, normally with other phones that might be a problem, but with stock Android, I hope it's going to be enough. So what I wanted to do here is one of the things I always do first thing when I get a phone, to make the animations, everything faster. By default is at 1 scale, but I always do it half, and all these animations will start looking a lot faster. And makes the whole phone actually looks that it's operating faster and faster. Languages, standard again. Date and time, standard. Backup is enabled. So what else we can see here? That is pretty much it. So standard Google Launcher, swipe from the bottom, and from the right side we have Google Now, which is great. Again, good IPS screen, I have to say. It's not, let me see if I can boost the brightness a little bit more and see how it's gonna look. Oh, it's definitely very bright. I don't think you're gonna have any problem seeing outside if you're on a daylight. Maybe I can try to measure what the brightness of this display is. Actually, let's do it right away. I'm gonna take my light meter and we're gonna see what the light is coming out as 150 lux. All right, so back on the display, let me lower the brightness here, enable the automatic brightness. Let's go back at the beginning. What's pre-installed? I don't think there's a lot of bloatware, normal standard Android apps. We have FM radio, which is native. That chip supports hardware of FM radio, which is great. And what else is out here? A couple of Motorola things and nothing really to be upset about. Can we delete these? Nope, not this one. We can only get application info, but we can disable it, so that's not bad at all. And what else is out here? We have a 31 available updates, so we can update that later. How it works? Okay, let's see what they're suggesting as adaptive display. Okay, allow Moto take pictures. Cool. Your screen will not dim and sleep when you're looking at it. Okay, that's great. Show me how. Next. Okay, now you see me. Good, excellent. We're gonna have that one enabled. It's pretty smooth. I mean, I gotta say, not a problem at all so far. Let's right off the bat put Antutu on it, run some benchmarks and see how this actually performs, this processor. I'm not familiar with Snapdragon 450, but I'm really curious to see how it's going to perform compared to some of the other ones. So while these apps are updating and I'm downloading Antutu, let's quickly look over some of the things on the phone again. I forgot to mention earlier that the actual app tray is on top. You can see one of the noise cancelling microphones right here. One thing to mention, you'll see how the camera protrudes on the back. For me, definitely a case is a must, because if you leave that on a surface, the ring around the camera will definitely scratch over time. So a case that you can put on top to kind of cover that camera hump and protect some of the glass will definitely help. So I'm gonna have to find some of those cases. I'm sure, being a Motorola and popular device, there will be a lot of them. 3.5mm headphone jack in the bottom. Great thing. Thank you, Motorola, for including this. All right, all the apps installed and updated. Now we have Antutu. We're gonna run the test and see what the result's gonna be. All right, so the Antutu test is done, and this is how the results. 70,000 points, a little over 70,000 points. So not the best, as you're probably aware, or if you follow any of those reviews for other phones and chipsets. The newest Snapdragon 845 runs around 250 to 270,000. Snapdragon 821 ran around about 140, 145. Snapdragon 835 ran around 180, 190. So you can imagine this is definitely a lot lower, but is it going to be a problem for the day-to-day use? Probably not. I'm gonna run it daily and test it more to see how it's going to perform, especially with the 3 GB of RAM. But I think it will be okay, considering it's a stock Android. Where we rank, let's see. Now we can see some of the phones that are on first, second, third place, all these flagships, and where are we in this long list of phones and devices? At the end. It's lower than Mi 5. I don't think it's a big deal, but that's what the Antutu test is. Let's see the breaking point, the CPU, GPU, and the memory tests here. So that's about it. Let me do a few photos, a few pictures so I can upload it and show it to you guys. But you know, launching the camera, turn the screen, chop twice, turns the flash, as you can see. If I twist twice, launches the camera. I like these gestures from Motorola. They're definitely very, very helpful. One of my favorite features from Motorola. Focus is pretty fast, I gotta say. The camera takes HD video 1080p at 60 frames per second. That's the highest. No 4K here, unfortunately. I was not expecting with that processor. I think 1080p at 60 frames is actually pretty good. It's nothing to be ashamed of, and as long as it's good quality, I will not say anything bad about it. And here are some of the other options here. If we swipe or go here, you'll see portrait modes, the other options, face filters, time lapse. We have the photo and we have the video. So if we go to the video, you'll see how it looks. Obviously we can zoom in, zoom out. This is digital, so lower the quality of your footage. We have video stabilization on. I think it's only electronic stabilization. It's not optical with this particular phone, but still it's good to have it. And let's do some pictures on a low light and outside and see how they're gonna look like. So you saw all the pictures that the phone is taking. Obviously with the good daylight, they're very good, no problems, no big issues or grainage or problems with the focus. Obviously on the low light, it's not gonna perform as some of the flagships. We gotta remember, this is a $200 phone with a entry-level CPU. Most of you probably noticed something. There's no speaker grill anywhere on the phone. Where's the sound coming from? It's coming from the earpiece. So whenever you're watching a video or something else, you're streaming, the sound is coming from the earpiece. It's pretty loud, it's directed towards you, so it's producing pretty good sound, to be honest. So yeah, that's pretty much it, guys, with the Motorola G6, the latest one from Motorola.